Every year around September or October, in the scientific community, there was always a buzz regarding Nobel Prizes. As you know, Nobel Prize is awarded for physiology and medicine, chemistry, physics, literature, economics, and of course, peace. So there's always an interest in knowing and predicting who might get a prize, and it is always an interesting exercise to take a guess who is going to win the prize. Generally speaking, these guesses are not accurate because the way one thinks about the Nobel Prizes is very different from a scientist's viewpoint, and probably very different from a viewpoint when you are looking at, let's say, a committee of Nobel Prize givers in Stockholm, so to speak. Now, what is very interesting is that there's kind of rich history behind Nobel Prizes, and there's also a lot of controversies behind it. I have also spoken about it in my podcast in various different occasions, but I want to highlight one very interesting story about a Nobel Prize given in chemistry, which turned out to be a very interesting story by itself. So it is a story where one has to sail against the wind, and eventually one has to gain the prominence of the community. And this is the story of the Nobel Prize winner, Daniel Shetman. John Peterson told, "True courage is like a kite. A contrary wind raises its higher." Stop quote. To have a firm belief in something and to pursue it courageously till the end is one of the finest human qualities. This quality was exemplified by Daniel Shetman, who won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the discovery of quasicrystals. According to conventional knowledge of crystallography, crystals can exist with certain symmetries only. So the convention was that crystals in nature can have only 1, 2, 3, 4 or 6-fold rotational symmetry, with everything else not allowed. Contrary to this, Daniel discovered that there exist crystals whose rotational symmetry is 10-fold. When he announced this particular discovery, he was mocked and humiliated, and was asked to leave his sabbatical research group when he announced this particular story. Great scientists, including Linus Pauling, who is a very celebrated chemist, really made fun of the discovery on quasicrystals, and he's said to have mentioned, quote, "There are no quasicrystals, only quasi-scientists," stop quote. However, Daniel pursued his research and submitted it to the Journal of Applied Physics, but that too was rejected. Yet he persuaded his colleagues in different countries to verify his discoveries, and finally his paper was published in Physical Review Letters. This speaks of Daniel's character of persistence and how he believed in his observations and finally triumphed. Nowadays, everybody approves of quasicrystals' existence, and Nobel Prize is a fair indicator. I would want to add a word of caution here. All great researchers will not get Nobel Prizes. All great research will not fetch Nobel Prizes. And some of the deserving scientists may have been omitted in the past for various different reasons, including political reasons, including reasons which are just because of some particular disagreement in opinions, etc. Who gets a Nobel Prize is generally people who deserve that particular prize. But the one who misses it out should also not be forgotten. This is an important point which we should always remember. What is also related to this matter is the persistence. The persistence has been plenty of scientific discoveries in the past has been because of the persistence by the scientist, and there is a lot of work which has been rejected in the past by various different people. One of the interesting papers which I came across, titled "Rejecting and Resisting Nobel Class Discoveries: Accounts by the Nobel Laureates," in a journal called Scientometrics. There, the author of that particular paper, Juan Miguel Campanerio, notes that more than 20 discoveries which were rejected in a journal were later accepted either in a different journal or in the same journal, and further went on to win a Nobel Prize. So one of the important characteristics is that next time when you make a discovery, if somebody rejects it, you don't have to get really disheartened. Having said that, please remember that in science, most of the time you would be making some mistake, there will be some errors, and therefore not everything that has been rejected deserves a Nobel Prize, so to speak. But there are very few cases where there is a possibility that some great discovery could have been there, but people would have rejected it for various different reasons. Now, coming to this particular year, 2023, what is my prediction for Nobel Prize? Well, I would generally not predict prizes in all different areas, except maybe a few which I have some kind of an idea, mainly in physics. So one of the person who really deserves the Nobel Prize, in my opinion, is Michael Berry, and I have been rooting for his Nobel Prize for multiple years now, and I completely think that that he really deserves a Nobel Prize for his fantastic insights into Berry Pancharatnam phase, which has turned out to be an extremely important concept, both in classical and quantum physics. And there is also, as my inclination towards supporting people who have done some outstanding work in optics and photonics. Eli Abnovich and Sajeev John have been going around in terms of the names, who did outstanding work and laid the foundation for photonic crystals. And John Pendry, David Smith for negative refraction and kind of origins of metamaterials. They thoroughly deserve it. And the other person who probably deserves a lot of applause, if not the Nobel Prize, is Federico Capasso, the master who has really used design to develop new optical physics. And some of the work what has come out of his lab is truly outstanding. So these are my predictions for physics. One person whose work I've heard a lot about, although I don't directly work in this particular area, is a person called Omar Yagi. He works on metal organic frameworks, which are acronymed as MOFs, and these MOFs have turned out to be extremely important materials for storage and transport of various different categories of chemicals, and has some very interesting connotation in applications including sustainability, etc. So my hunch is that he probably might be one of the persons who might get a Nobel Prize. As I said, of course, this is all speculation. We will have to wait till the first week of October, when the formal announcement of the Nobel Prize is made. However, always remember that Nobel Prizes are a tricky business. People who generally get them are deserving, but there are also a lot of people who do not get the Nobel Prize, but may be equally deserving of that particular prize. So the final aspect I would want to mention again is John Pettit's saying, "True courage is like a kite, a contrary wind raises it higher." I hope science and technology raises the human life and intellectual viewpoint to a higher level.